Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us on Logistics Executive TV. I'm joined today by an industry stalwart and expert hailing in from Australia. And this young lady has got an extremely deep experience background right across the logistics, transport in particular, part of the supply chain. She is a principal consultant of her own consulting firm now for nearly 4 years in Melbourne, Australia. She's also a podcaster and columnist. She's the chairperson, which is what we're going to talk about today, of the Transport Women in Australia. Prior to that, she's worked in a number of very senior operational roles right throughout the transport industry in Australia, which we'll talk about a little bit in a minute. But she's also the National Rural Women's Coalition Vice President in Australia. And as I say, Chairperson of Transport Women in Australia. Without further ado, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Jacquelene Brotherton. Jacquelene, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on here, Kim. So happy to be here.
It's great to see you. And it's you're in Melbourne, which for folks who are not used to Australia is the second or the biggest state, I think, in terms of population, other than New South Wales. Yeah,
absolutely.
Good stuff. So you're joining me today, and I heard from you just off camera a bit earlier that we have met before, many, many years ago.
We absolutely did, back in 2006, when you joined our panel at the inaugural conference for Transport Women Australia Limited. So there you go.
And that was at Melbourne Airport, your very first conference. I remember it was fully laden. There was a huge crowd there, and certainly Transport Women in Australia has gone from strength to strength. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background industry-wise, just quickly, and then we can talk about Transport Women in Australia.
Okay, so I've just clocked up 54 years in the trucking industry. So I've joined it as a baby and almost, and I love it just as much as I did before. And as you said in your intro, I've worked throughout all aspects of the transport and warehousing industry. So in operations, fleet management, training, compliance, all of those things. I've hosted a TV show, been a podcaster, been a member of many associations over the years, and worked in all three eastern states in tiny little towns and obviously in larger cities as well, and probably in about 10 transport companies and a large cold storage facilities. So a huge gamut of companies and different aspects of the industry, and absolutely love it. So you don't lose that passion if you love what you're doing.
Absolutely, and I've been following you over the years on LinkedIn with some of your colleagues, and a very hardcore and meaningful advocacy organisation. Maybe you can outline for us 2 or 3 of the key reasons for existing, the whys for women in transport in Australia.
So the organisation was formed in 1999 by 8 very passionate women who wanted to make a difference in the industry, to have a voice, put their voice to the issues that were abound then and now, and to because everybody had the same issues, and they wanted to make sure that women had that voice, and they wanted to develop talent and pay their success forward, and to contribute in a way that they hadn't been able to, that even though they had prominent roles within their own businesses, they didn't have a voice outside that within the industry. So that was how it started back then, and that's how it's gone on from then, and it's just grown from strength to strength in that time. And we're just about to celebrate our 25th anniversary in March. So that's when we're partying. The anniversary was actually in December. So
awesome. Yeah, well, again, 1999 was the year that we commenced. I think it was one of the first conferences I ever spoke at in Australia, and it was a great pleasure to be there at the inception of Transport Women in Australia. What's the makeup? Because I've seen you folks on many of the conferences over the years, especially in the cold chain in Australia that I've emceed over the last 20 odd years. That you're present at many of the events that happen there, but there's a lot. Well, so it's not just purely for women and about women. It's from women about the industry. Yeah.
It is, and our membership makeup is male and female. So we have one of our life members even is a man. So who was made a life member in 2022. So a very big mix there. We also, they're from truck drivers to politicians. We have a politician who's a member, university professors, CEOs, suppliers to the industry. So our membership makeup is right across that range. I obviously speak at a lot of conferences, and every time I get the opportunity to talk about the organisation, talk about our roles within the industry, to make sure that everybody's aware that the roles aren't just about truck driving. You know, there's all the people behind the scenes in IT, compliance, finance, you know, data entry, dispatch, all of those things. The people who repair the trucks, make the trucks, design the trucks, you know, all of that. You know, graphic designers, so many other roles within the industry. So, you know, and we all love it. And not only you know, a lot of people just love the industry as such, but you know, Coralie, our vice president, vice chair, and myself, we actually love the physical trucks, like, you know, so that's why we've been in the industry so long and are still so passionate about it. But also the organisation is much, and it came out of our ninth conference just in June, that we're about people, not policy. So we have a lot of organisations that are lobbyists and policies. So we input to them for policy, but our organisation is really about the people that are involved and being part of a team and being part of an organisation where they can come for help and part of the programs that we actually endorse and supply.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, I suppose for those who are not aware, you know, a country like Australia, or Australia in particular, is around about the same size geographically as the US. You've only got 25 million people, not 300 and something million people. and the railway network is nowhere near as developed, of course, because of lack of population, but as it is in the US, which is railroads are just massive. But so road transport is such a backbone and foundation part of the Australian economy. And of course, your members have got trucks that are driving 4 or 5 days non-stop to get from one side, or from the top to the bottom, or from one side or to the other of Australia. So vitally important. What are some of the initiatives that you can outline for us that spring to mind around Transport Women in Australia that you can advise us of?
So we have a lot of initiatives. We have a mentoring program where we put newcomers into the industry or people that want to enhance their career, along with, you know, business women and men. So we have a very robust mentoring program. We have a program called Women Driving Transport Careers, which is a female-only driver licensing program. So that's in a joint venture with Wodonga TAFE with the support of Volvo, and that's put a lot of female drivers into companies. So that's a 4 to 6-week course. At the end of that course, they get their license, and they're actually employed by the companies that support them through that course. So they're recruited before they go into the course to see if they can do that. Some of the companies have actually, and I shouldn't use the word plagiarised, but they've plagiarised that course because we couldn't get them through fast enough, like Wodonga TAFE couldn't get them through fast enough. So we put a lot of women through that course, which has been amazing. And they do the female-only course because a lot of younger women especially would not like being taught alongside men. So that was how that course came through. But it's been an amazing initiative, and it's got a lot of women that came from the makeup industry, the retail industry.
Really?
Huge differences. One of our role models from that was a MAC makeup artist for 8 years, and she's just been an enormous endorsement for the industry all round. So that's been incredible. We have our Daimler scholarships, the Driving the Difference scholarships. So they're opened every year around August, September, and then they're allotted in November, and they can apply for any course they want as long as it relates to transport, and will enhance their career in transport and logistics. And that's gone to rail, road, and marine. So it's not only for trucking, and there's no age limit. So we've had low as 24, and I think the oldest one was about 55. So a change of career person, enhancing her career and moving into a different aspect of transport logistics. So they're the ones that really stand out. We obviously also highlight our superstars. Like, so we have a Dreammaker Award that's in conjunction with the Road Transport Museum at Alice Springs, and that's awarded to people. Companies can put forward women who are otherwise not recognised, the people behind the scenes, the training, compliance, the admin, data entries, and they can put forward their women. Some of the old ladies, I shouldn't call them that, some of the old ladies in the first round 2 years ago were in their 80s, and they were crying because they were getting the recognition. So we have that. We've just installed a Young Gunette Award sponsored by Cummins to recognise our young guns, only they're females, so we call it the Young Gunette. And so we have a lot of that, and we've started some collaborations, which we will talk about, of course. So
okay, yeah, good. And so you've got the industry in itself got some really big global players. Some of the biggest trucking companies, if you talk about land transport, are present in Australia and always have been for many years. So you rely on those organisations in terms of collaborations, cooperation, funding, and what have you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we do. So, people like Lynn Fox, who's one of our gold partners, which are very supportive. And they don't only offer you the sponsorship or the partnership, their expertise is what, they give so much through their expertise and their advice, and just having that backup of people like Ron Finnemore at Ron Finnemore Transport, the knowledge that comes from his company and himself, and from, the Fox family and Lynn Fox Transport themselves and their executive. It's just incredible. And there's, other players as well, like Viva Energy and Prime Creative Media, who's, those sort of people that they've been out behind us for years and years now, Volvo and NTI and people are just there whenever you need something, and their support is invaluable.
Well, it's good to see, and those names ring a bell with me. I mean, I've had the great pleasure of meeting Lindsay Fox and Ron Finnemore back in the early days. Lynn Fox was our very first client in June 1999, was the year that you started. So back down memory road. So some of the role models in the industry from your perspective.
They are from the men. Like, when we do the women driving transport careers, the first people to put those through were Australia Post, Star Trek, and Lynn Fox. And to see Peter Fox come to the graduation of those young women, and the CEO of Australia Post to actually be there when they got their certificates and their licenses, to take that time out, was amazing that they would do that. That it was just not just a tick that they got, they were doing their DEI or anything like that. It was really important to them that they took that time. And Alex Fraser Hansen, who have put an amazing, I think, over 100 young women through that program. Peter Murphy from Alex Fraser, just an incredible person, and the people within that company. But then we have people, the females in the industry, like, Frances Ross from Ross Transport at Wollongong, like incredible role model for women. And there's, on our website, we have a superstars list, and we have all the women from 1997 onwards, when the National Transport Women Trucking Woman of the Year became about, from Nola Bransgrove and Pam McMillan and, all those people. And that list is just growing every year. And so all of those people that win awards every year, we nominate people like for every award we can. And huge people, Phyllis Jones from Hay, like amazing lady, and we have the Trish Pickering Memorial Award, which is sponsored by Wes Pickering in the name of his late wife. And we pick a person we started that in 2019. So we've had 6 women, incredible women, that we've given that to over the last 6 years. Pam McMillan, Phyllis Jones, Hazel Whitmore, who's from the bus industry, Sharon Middleton, like Mary Manton, incredible women that you just, they're just amazing. Like, I've had male mentors all my life, because when I started back in the 70s, there were only men. Like
Yeah.
there weren't, and my ex-father-in-law and Bruce Dickinson and Ron Finnemore, and those people were just incredible to me, to encourage me to do anything I wanted to do, and that's why I'm where I am through men giving you a hand up, people
Yeah.
like Jim Savage, and because I come from the livestock transport industry, I'm from the outback, and
Yeah.
and you. There was I've never had a background where there's been any gender bias there. They've all just been
Yeah.
a helping hand to lead you on to get better and better.
Yeah, and I think if we look back, just on reflection, if we look at the role of women in Australia's frontier development from over 100 years ago, of course, Australia was very pastoral and still is heavily pastoral country. Women have always been equal contributors and task doers on the farms, in industry. Of course, Australia was in 2 world wars and other wars, and of course, as men went away, women had to take over things like transport, agriculture, mining. Of course, resources was one of the biggest industries in Australia. So not surprising that women are so prevalent, and it's great to see that Women in Transport Australia has evolved and thrived the way it has. And so many of those names, and you're obviously a good public speaker because you're getting a lot of plugs in for all those people for our Australian audience. I'm glad to see that you're recognising those people. So
Oh,
congratulations to you and to them.
they're incredible people, and my
Yeah,
mum, like, she was an incredible role model for. I have 5 sisters, so she was an incredible role
yeah,
model for all of us. And I think
yeah,
if you have someone who believes in you and you believe in yourself, you can move mountains. I think we have to make women understand that really helps. And if we
yeah,
put role models out there to show them that this is what you can do. We've got an amazing generation of young women coming up within our organisation, which
yeah,
is just incredible and which is really great. And we have a lot of alliances we've formed with other groups, and that really makes a difference as well. We have them speak at our conferences, and they go, that wow. So, you know,
yeah.
and that
No,
makes them understand.
we've always kept an eye on what you've been doing, and very proud to be associated with you, of course. Let's before we wrap up, perhaps we can talk about what the big picture issues are for the transport and logistics industry as you see it in the near term future. What are the big issues that the WTA wants to focus on and sees as very important for the industry moving ahead over the next year or two?
Look, I think the people issue is always going to be an issue until we attract more people. So it's not, everybody says we have a driver shortage, but we have a people shortage.
Yeah,
We're struggling for technicians, diesel technicians, we're struggling for apprentices, we're struggling for drivers, but we're also struggling to get people into operational roles and data roles because, let's face it, we have an image problem that's not helped by the media, but we don't sell ourselves well. Like, I think, trucking and other sectors, so shipping and marine, shipping and rail, we don't sell ourselves, but they're high tech industries.
yeah,
They
they
are
are.
really high tech industries, and there's a huge amount of flexibility in trucking now. You don't
Yeah,
have to, you don't have to be, you don't have to be away every night. Like when I first started, we'd send our drivers away for weeks at a time and never thought anything about it. Neither did they. But that's not applicable to so many roles now. They're home every night or they're home every day. So we need to sell ourselves well, and we will solve that shortage. The other things, of
yeah.
course, is lack of facilities for drivers along the road, especially female drivers. So we have to
Um,
get those accessible, but we need to get that selling point. We also have to overcome that diversity doesn't only mean women and youth, that we
yeah,
have to embrace our immigrant workers, we have to embrace our
sure.
refugees, our change of career people, our returned soldiers. That they are the things we have to change that barrier to, and show people a pathway. That's the thing. Once these women that we're brought in see the pathway in, they'll never leave. They love it,
Yeah.
and the pathway is the issue.
And yeah, and of course, well, so well said. And of course, this is part of the broader challenge globally from our perspective. Again, we started the 1999, the year that you folks started. And the continuous challenge on the recruitment side of our business is always bringing top talent from various backgrounds, increasingly across the border from different industries into the logistics and supply chain sector, which, as you say, often is not seen as sexy as other industries, notwithstanding the fact that in the road transport, we've got women and men, of course, driving around in multi-million-dollar pieces of kit with multi-million-dollar loads and very high tech. I mean, I was in the cab of a truck the other day, and I wouldn't have known where to start it up. It's completely computerized.
Absolutely,
Well, it was an electric truck, but the bottom line is there's so much opportunity. But I think with organisations such as yours and ours working together ahead and moving forward to keep the image of the industry up, to keep the branding of the industry in itself up, we can keep on attracting those people into what we're doing.
Absolutely. And as I said at the beginning, like I take every opportunity to speak at conferences and on radio and television, wherever you get the opportunity for that reason, because the more that we can talk about it, the more things are going to change.
Well, you clearly have got a lot of very smart things to talk about. You've done a fantastic job. I'm so glad we agreed to talk today and that you joined us, because I wanted to give you that platform. We didn't do any prep for this. We just thought, okay, well, you know how to speak and converse, and I'm just delighted that you've been able to highlight the vast range of issues that you have. And we'll continue to support you. We're going to, obviously, this podcast going out today, we're going to promote that and really target our Australian audiences in particular. But what you're talking about is global. The same issues that you're talking about today are no less important in any other country.
Can I just make one comment before we finish up?
Yeah.
Back 3 years ago now, I think it is, we made everybody on our board change their words, and we're not allowed to say or speak or write male-dominated anymore. It's not a male-dominated industry, so it's not. We say predominantly male.
Yeah.
So because we think that a lot of people, especially young women, if they think the men will dominate. Language doesn't work. So they have to, if they're writing, if they're speaking, we say it's a predominantly male industry, because, the men in this industry do not dominate us. They are the most supportive men that you could ever wish for.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, and it's nice to hear you say that. When the world's going anti-woke and everything's going right-wing, and there's prime ministers and presidents being ditched left and governments being ditched left, right and centre, more focus on hardcore issues that are prevalent in the market today, whether you support them or not. It's good to see that you folks are right in there, and you're talking about what the issues are that are so important to you and to the industry. So, look, without further ado, Jacquelene, absolute delight to see you again after 19 years, complete surprise. We look forward to staying in touch. Where can folks best get hold of you if there's youngsters wanting to get into the industry, or folks wanting to transition from one industry into transport and logistics? How can they best get hold of you?
So they can contact us through the website, or they can email us, of course, at chair@transportwomen.com.au, or my phone number's on the website as well. So they can do that at any time.
Awesome. And that information is available just above us. Final point, and often I get ask our guests to give this a bit tip of insight and information. If people are wanting to get into the industry, and whether it be road transport or any other form of transport, whether it be Australia or anywhere else, what would be the one tip that you would give to people to start on that journey and to get on that road?
Just do it, and then find a mentor. And join an organisation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what that organisation is, somewhere where you get support. But the biggest thing is just do it and get yourself a mentor.
Great advice. Jacquelene Brotherton, woman in transport in Australia, thanks again so much for joining us. We look forward to staying in touch.
Thank you so much, Kim. Have a great day.